Today's guest transformed Instagram into her stage and built a multi-million-dollar digital empire.
What are the problems that your buyers are struggling with? What are the problems that your people need support on? Solve those problems with your free content. I truly believe that I was put on this earth to help, especially women, make money, and nothing can shake that sense of mission.
She's coached thousands from six-figure to seven-figure entrepreneurs on brand building, market psychology, and scaling with integrity.
I became a single mom when I already had a successful business. And so that was a complete game changer for me because I was able to just get the help in the village that I needed and be with my baby in a way that most single moms are just not able to do. And I want that for them.
What challenges do you think women still face, though, as they are leaning into these CEO roles?
The struggle is not resolved. It's the shifting that we're experiencing as a culture, and as a culture, we're pivoting.
Maria Wendt did it not with gimmicks or shortcuts, but through consistent content, smart strategies, and relentless execution.
What do you think is your X factor?
The nature I was born with has provided a lot of opportunities and saved me a lot of heartache, which I'm very grateful for. So I think that's my X factor, is my kind heart.
Maria, thank you so much for being here on X Factor Marketing. It is such a delight to sit down and chat with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. So I want to go back to the beginning. You have such a distinctive platform and brand. Tell us a little bit about how it all started.
Yeah, that's a good question. So when I was 7 years old, my dad started a business and I watched our family's financial situation improve. And at 7 years old, the lesson I learned was, when you work for yourself, things get better. And so I knew from that moment I was never going to have a regular job. I was always going to work for myself. And that's exactly what I did. I was in high school and I was reading blogs on how to make money blogging. And I just kind of was trying to figure it out. And then I went to college for graphic design. I started doing freelance graphic design stuff. And then it kind of morphed into the business that I have now. But I've never had a real job. I've never had a 9-to-5 interview. I've always just worked for myself. And I really firmly believe that entrepreneurship does make not just your financial life better, but your actual entire life better. And I was reading this book and it was we are so lucky to live in America where we have the opportunity to so easily start a business and just, you can wake up one day and decide to start selling things. And I think that's such a unique thing that we embrace here in America is entrepreneurship. And so I'm forever grateful to be born in America and get to just decide to start a business one day. It's really been such a beautiful thing.
I think that entrepreneurial gene is truly something that most of us are born with. My whole family is a family of entrepreneurs, and it is just something that is in our DNA, I believe.
Sid, I would make a terrible employee. You don't want me working for you, I promise.
Well, there is a saying about some people are just unemployable.
Yeah, I'm absolutely. I will just sit and start a side hustle while I'm supposed to be working my 9-to-5. I promise. I'm unhireable.
So take us through the beginning of the person we know now on Instagram. How did that person start? Was it strategic? Was there a business plan? Was there a vision?
Yeah. So I started publishing content on Instagram a couple of years ago. I'd been in business for a very long time, but a lot of people knew me on Facebook. I have a Facebook group now, has hundreds of thousands of people in it, but at the time it was very small. And I decided to move to Instagram a couple of years ago. And my goal in doing that was, I want you to trust me. I want you to feel like I'm someone you can trust to help make your dreams come true. And in order for me to do that, you have to know me. And in order for you to know me, I have to be vulnerable and share real things. And so I've always said Instagram is my diary. And so the things I would write in my diary, or, in some cases tell my therapist, I share in appropriate ways on Instagram. And what that does is it allows you to get to know the real Maria. What you see is what you get. What I put out on Instagram is very real, is very honest. And I think it creates a lot of trust with my audience, which is so important to me. The whole name of the game for me is am I someone you can trust? And if not, what can I do to help you feel comfortable that your business is safe in my hands? That's how I want you to feel I'm going to take good care of you. And that was a thought process.
Interesting. So that realness and that authenticity, that sort of trust factor, how does that then pivot to a business and then to sort of monetization?
So great question. For me, I saw my vulnerability as a way to extend a partnership, right? I'm gonna take the first step and we're gonna partner together and whatever it is, right? Like for me, it's business, but it's just sales. Like I want you to buy from me and you have to know me and trust me in order to do that. And so me sharing who I am in the good and the bad, help people feel like they really knew me. And then that naturally felt like, oh, well, Maria's someone that's going to help me achieve the solution to this problem. And it's the same case for my students who are in totally different industries. When they show up and they build that personal brand and they build that relationship, they are the ones their customers choose to purchase from because there's a relationship. But that relationship and that personal brand starts with you showing up first and extending the hand first and saying, hey, here's who I am. Is this someone you want to be in a partnership with?
Right. So think of our real estate agents, right? We have them building their brands online. Coach me, right? A real estate agent trying to build my brand, trying to show up authentically, trying to build that trust factor. What would that look like? What advice, what coaching would you give?
Well, I would say it's really important. That's the first thing is like, I think if you're in the real estate business, you're obviously asking people to make much larger purchases. And so you need that much more trust and that your personal brand is that much more important. Um, I think that for me, I would say the same thing that I say to any customer in any industry. And I do have a ton of real estate people in my world. So pros and unique advantages and disadvantages. But what I would say is it's the same thing. What are the problems that your buyers are struggling with? What are the problems that your people need support on? Solve those problems with your free content. And then along those lines, what are the taboo topics in your industry? The things that no one wants to talk about. Like right now on social media, a lot of people are saying, why do we even need a real estate agent? You should be the people addressing the answer to that question. Go there. That's a taboo topic. Go there. And so, really thinking about what are the actual specific problems that I can start solving for people. And your free content should be so good, you're worried that people won't want to work with you because it's that good. Like, that's the metric. And so, you need to be kind of scared about how good your content is. And then, simultaneously, what are the things you're afraid to talk about? What are the things that no one in your industry is talking about? That's your blue ocean. If you go where everyone else is afraid, you will stand out. And that's what I did as a business coach. I share all my income claims. So like if I say I make $700,000 in a month, I'm going to share not just what I made, but what my profits were, what my business expenses were. I even share like what I banged out with about 800. I got to 800. Oh my gosh, I meant it. So, okay, full disclosure, we have like 5 more days and like we're like really close. I think it's like if we do $40,000 in 5 days, which is actually pretty doable, we're going to hit our first $800,000 in a 30-day window. So I'm like on my phone texting my team as we do this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got it. Like, we're so close. So, but that comes from me being willing to give insane value in my free content. 99% of people watch my free content and never buy from me. But I make millions of dollars from the 1% of people who actually do buy from me. And then I'm also willing to talk about things like being a single mom and navigating my divorce 3 years ago and topics that people typically wouldn't share that feel a little bit like, but like I'm willing to go there because I understand that when you know me, we have a relationship together, which is hard to do over social media. And so me being willing to go there breaks that barrier in a really important way, I think.
How did you find the courage to do that? Because those like that vulnerability, that being willing to go there. You mentioned like divorce, single mom, like that. Like how did you find that courage? Like especially as a woman, like those are very tough places to go.
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, I think it's 2 things. One, my rule is if my fingers aren't shaking when I post it, it's not vulnerable enough. So like my standard, my bare minimum is like I have to be scared. If I'm scared, it's a good post. So like making that the standard for myself is like you have to have courage.
I literally like take a deep breath as you said that because I feel
Yeah.
that like
Yeah, I'm
my
scared. Yeah, I'm scared when I post. But I do it on purpose because I truly believe that I was put on this earth to help specifically women, like men and women, but like really especially women, make money. Like that is why I was put on this earth. I am firmly convinced of it, and nothing can shake that sense of mission. And so when you have that sense of like you have a limited amount of time on earth, and your goal is to help as many people as possible, make as much money as possible, you have a real sense of urgency. And it's like, who cares that you're a little scared? Like post the damn thing because it's going to help people. And I believe that with every fiber of my being. And I do think that that comes across. It's very authentic. It's very genuine. I don't think you can fake that, but I really care very deeply about my people and I want to take care of them. And that gives me the courage to do scary things.
You're amazing. I mean, you're just amazing. I get goosebumps just hearing you talk about that. So, um, you also talk a lot about systems and processes in what you do. Like you pump out a lot of content, but is very systemized. So walk us through a little bit of that.
Um, I think for me, this all kind of came about when I became that single mom 3 years ago. I was like, well, I'm not working how I used to, like 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't get to do that anymore. And so I had to become very, very efficient in what I was doing. And I realized that there was a few things that I was doing that was revenue generating, things that actually made me money. One of those was content. Most things I was doing felt like it was very important, but it was actually busy work. And a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with that, where they're doing things that are busy work. And so for me, I n- understood that my highest leverage activity was making content. So I was like, okay, the focus of the systems we build has to be around that. So first and foremost, you just prioritize what you want to build systems around, because you can't build systems around everything right away. And then what I realized is like, what are the constraints and what are the bottlenecks? And I just started solving for them. So for example, like us, especially as women, like getting our hair done, getting makeup done, like if you're gonna go to the house, it takes me like 45 minutes to an hour to do that, right? Like it's a long, and it takes some people even longer. Like it's a lot of work to do that. Guys do not have to do this. And so I'm like, if I'm gonna like get myself all dressed up, which I don't normally do because I'm a mom, most of the time I'm in sweatpants and a messy bun, but I'm gonna go to the trouble of getting makeup on and do my hair. Best believe I'm gonna be filming like 40 fucking reels. Excuse my language, but like I'm gonna be filming a lot of reels all at once because it's efficient. And so you start to just see, where can I batch? Where can I repurpose? A lot of people don't realize that about 85% of my content is repurposed. So most of what you're seeing, I've shared somewhere else. I've either made it a reel, or I put it as an email, or I put it as a YouTube video, but I do it really cleverly, and I will never republish on multiple platforms on the same day. So if you load up an email, it's gonna be a totally different email than what you see on my Instagram that day. But like maybe 3 months later, something I wrote will now become a piece of Instagram content. So I repurpose a ton, but not during the same month.
So it's not going out on Facebook,
No.
on Instagram, on an email,
No,
same
that's
pieces
super
and
sloppy.
going.
I would never do that. That's very sloppy, because if you have most people follow you on more than one platform, and they just remember, it's just ugh, like I don't know. But I'll put out the same pretty much verbatim thing that was an email, pretty much verbatim as an Instagram caption after a 90-day period has elapsed. So I'm like, okay, if it's September, I'm gonna start pulling from my May content. That's kind of how I think. And I have thousands of Google Docs worth of content at this point, and I purposely write it all in Google Docs so I can access it from any device. My team can access it if they need to. So just like little things like that. But again, all through the lens of, what is my constraint? What's my bottleneck when it comes to creating content? And then what is something that I can just work a little smarter or eliminate and not do at all? An example of that would be with YouTube. I just sit down, I film with my webcam. There's no editing. If I sneeze, it stays in. Like I just start and stop, upload it, and I've gotten almost 100,000 subscribers in like 5 months. So it's really it. Some of the things we think we need to have in order to create content aren't true. I film a lot of my content with my cracked iPhone. Like it's been cracked for years and it's still cracked. Like a lot of things we think we need, the professional stuff, we don't actually need. We just need to show up, push the red start button, start recording ourselves, and upload it.
I think that is so key what you just said, because a lot of people think I need a whole team. I need the editing. I need all the things.
Yeah.
You're saying I'm doing it with my iPhone. There's no editors. I'm like posting it on YouTube.
Yeah, it's just
And go.
just go. And I think the thing that requires is confidence to show up imperfect, confidence to show up unpolished. And that goes back to what we said earlier about courage, and courage is fueled by our mission. So if you really believe in what you're doing, and you really believe that help that you're helping people, then you will be like, you know what, like I just don't have the time. I got to get my message out there. I've got to impact people. And if they care about it being perfectly edited, they're not my people. And what you'll find is that it's refreshing. Yeah. Raw is refreshing. Raw stands out. I think the reason I grew so quickly on YouTube is because it was clearly me on a webcam in my office. Like it's the furthest thing from polished there is, but it's just different. It's a breath of fresh air, and everyone's creating content. Let's make it easy for ourselves.
Exactly. I always say to the real estate agents, like when you show up to show a house,
Yeah.
like this is what you're going to look like,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, true.
Like,
That's true too. That's true too. Like, and that creates trust. Again, that's like keep being authentic, like keeping it real. I don't use beauty filters. I barely do any makeup. Like I think there is something about like letting people see us as we really are, the good and the bad, is so important. It's so beautiful.
yeah. Staying on the systems for just a second. What's one system that's sort of behind the scenes that you absolutely couldn't run your business without
Good
doing?
question. I would say Samcart. That's the software I use for my checkout pages. I've been with them like just as a customer since 2014. And what they do is any sale you want to make, they have a 6% conversion rate on their checkout page versus like the average 2%, meaning I make 2 to 3 times more sales with that software than I would with any other software. So I'm a really big fan. I've loved them for a really long time. They're good people. I'm friends with the founders. They're just really good people. And with the business I have and the way I make sales kind of around the clock, I couldn't do that without Samcart.
Awesome. Sam card. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So all of that content means you've got to like come up with some creative ideas. So how do you spark that creativity?
Yeah, that's another good question. I think that it's less about sparking creativity. And like you have to understand my thought process in my brain. I am manically trying to help as many people as possible. And so
So that mission is
that
always at
mission
the
is like I'm
forefront.
very driven by the mission. It's like this pressure in a good way. It's not bad pressure, but I really do believe that there's more people that I want to help than I literally have time on this earth. And so I've been this way for like 13 years. I have had the same sense of like manic urgency to help as many people as possible. And so I'm not thinking creatively. I'm thinking, okay, there's people here who need to make sales and need to make money and they don't know what to do. So just start telling them what to do because you know. And so I'm not worried about I don't think I'm creative at all. I mean, I think if you actually look at my content, it's actually not that creative. It's a little bit of video footage with me, it's text on a screen and it's music. It's actually not that creative compared to other content creators out there. It's just over and over again, keeping it very practical, keeping it very tactical, keeping it very strategic, very consistent. That's the other thing, very consistent. And just like getting my message out there as many times as they possibly can in as many different angles and ways that I can. Because again, like to me, it really does come down to how do I help as many people as possible, which I know sounds so cliche, but it is my truth. It is true for me.
Yeah, it is. Part of that truth in particular is the mission to empower female entrepreneurs. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I like to say we're women focused. So I think about 30% of my audience are guys and they're cool and I love them and it is amazing. But I think for me, it's always going to be personal, right? First of all, I'm a woman. And then like you go layers deeper, I'm a single mama, right? I get to be home with my life as a single mom looks very different than most single moms. And I think it's so important that we talk about that because I became a single mom when I already had a successful business. And so that was a complete game changer for me because I was able to just get the help in the village that I needed and be with my baby in a way that most single moms are just not able to do. And I want that for them. And so whether you're a mom or a single mom or just a woman who wants to do things, like for me, it is about I want women to see a woman, a leader, who is in her masculine and knows the data and knows the business and is very, very business minded, but also is in her feminine and is a present mother and living a genuine, like a hands-off business. It's kind of the vibe. And I want them to see that. I think it's so important that they see that together because they either see women who don't have the business side of things, but they're like very in their feminine, and that's beautiful and that's good. Or they'll see very successful male leaders, and it's not often that you see the marriage of the two, and that's what I try to
You
do
can
with
be a
them.
boss babe.
Yeah, but like specifically, like you can like be a founder, be a business owner, and I didn't have that identity for myself for a long time, and I was like, no, wait a minute, I'm a business owner, and like I'm like just like the guys, and that was a process for me to kind of get to that point, and it's very fulfilling for me to teach women how to run ads or teach women how to have a profitable launch, to teach them things that typically women in particular tend to shy away from. Like if you look at the statistics, male run businesses start advertising way sooner than female business owners do. There's all these little stats that show the gap. And that gap is where I want to come in and just like massage it a little bit. I'm not like a raging feminist by any means. Like I'm actually quite conservative, but I am very personally fulfilled by helping women make the money they want to make. Women do, statistically speaking, when women make more money, they do very good with things with it. You don't typically see women buying more Lamborghinis with their money. They stay home with their babies, or they help their family, or they pay off debt, or they take their kids to Disney. Like my students are doing really good things with their money. And I'm like, look, if you're a good person, my belief is that you have a moral obligation to make as much money as you possibly can because you inherently are a good person, which means you're inherently going to do good things with your money. And we need more good people making as much money as humanly possible. So you get me started on this. I mean, this is my mission. It's really what I think I'm here for. So,
In our industry, we are seeing more females more single females buying homes than we are single
That's
men,
interesting. Yeah.
right?
And women are graduating college now faster than men are. It's very
Those
interesting.
same single females are actually earning less than the single men
Oh, that's
buyers,
interesting.
but yet they are doing more with their money.
That's
So
interesting.
along the same line as what you were saying. So there's so much to like fill in with all of that. So love your mission and love what you were doing there. What challenges do you think women still face, though, as they are leaning into these CEO roles and building their own businesses?
I think that's a great question. I think the struggle is not resolved. It's the shifting that we're experiencing as a culture where we used to have very defined masculine and feminine roles. And as a culture, we're pivoting, right? Like you said, like women are buying homes more than men, women are graduating college more than men, but our identity, our belief, our cultural expectations have not caught up with that. And so, let's just use myself, for example, right? I'm a very successful woman and I happen to be single. That is going to cause a lot of men to be very threatened by that, which literally limits my dating opportunities. And so there are we as a society we're starting to make practical changes where women are making more, we're more in the workforce, we're buying homes more, we're graduating, but like our societal and cultural expectations have not caught up to that, which leaves men unsure of what their role is and leaves women feeling like the men are a little bit behind them. So you have it's this very, I don't know what you want to call it, like a double-edged sword or like the curse of being a successful woman, or it's like there's
And it was in that I was single for years. Found that I am married now, but lived through that
yeah,
dynamic,
very
being a
interesting.
successful woman and being single.
And I don't think it's
It is really tough.
and I don't think it's a knock necessarily on men because I do feel for them. Like since time immemorial, men have known exactly what their job was and they knew exactly what their role was. And it was very simple, like very black and white. You did it or you didn't. And so I think there's a lot of clarity that like all of a sudden got pulled away from them. And so I'm not here to blame anybody at all. It's just more to observe that it is shifting, and we're still catching up societally and culturally on like what our new roles are and what that looks like and what our worth is as a woman and what our worth is as a man. And so it's just I think in a couple hundred years it'll sort itself out, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I saw you talk about this in a very vulnerable post recently, just about that biological clock ticking and what that
Exactly.
meant, being single and
Yeah,
all of that.
and like for me too, like I made a commitment to not date until my divorce is finalized, right? And so that's a very integrity thing for me. And so I have my biological clock ticking and my morals and my integrity on the other side. And so I think that's where just like not overthinking things and just like relaxing. Like I'm a person of faith. And so I really do believe that God has got stuff like that handled. And I'm just going to keep concentrating on the two things that I know to be true, which is I'm here on this earth to help women make more money. And I'm here on this earth to be present to my daughter. And I find a lot of peace and calmness in that. There's so much I need to control that is in my control that I need to focus on. And then there's so much things I can't control. And I just have got zero bandwidth for the things I can't control. So
Yes, yes.
keeps me in my lane.
Yeah, keeps you in your lane.
Yeah.
For those who are listening who are in what I call that like messy middle of scaling their businesses. So they got a foundation, they got some revenue, but they're trying to scale, they're trying to build their brand, they're trying to build their voice, they're trying to stand out. What's one piece of advice you would give them?
I think that they just need to start and be consistent. I think that everything else comes with time. And I know that's very cliche advice, but how often do we hear that advice and how infrequently do we actually implement it? When you find a consistency for yourself, everything else falls into place. You improve, you navigate setbacks. And so if I woke up in their shoes, which is how I give advice, what I would say is like, what is causing you to fall off the content wagon? What is causing you to be inconsistent? How do you solve for that, right? Is it, I don't have childcare, so I need to hire a nanny for a couple hours a week? Is it, I don't like the way I look, so I need to work through that? Like everyone's got a different reason for why they're not showing up consistently. But if you can solve for that, everything else falls into place. And to me, the fact that I just woke up one day and decided to post content on Instagram and blew my business up in a matter of like relatively like a short amount of time because of an opportunity I had with an iPhone and the internet. We are living in an age where we have access to attention that we never had before, especially as women, but just even objectively. You used to have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars to run a TV commercial, and you wouldn't know if it was going to work or not, or advertise in a newspaper. Our opportunity to reach people literally in the corners of the globe with an iPhone that we all have, a simple piece of technology, the opportunity has never been better. the algorithms have never been more pointed towards new people just getting started. The way that you guys get to grow and blow up versus the way I did starting back in like 2016, there has literally never been a better time to reap the advantages of focusing on growing a personal brand. And so it kills me when people can't get themselves on the consistency wagon, because the payoff is, you just have no idea how your life is going to look so different if you just showed up and posted content consistently for like,
And is it 3 times a day on Instagram?
not when you're getting started. What I tell people is when you're just getting started, 1 or 2 days a week. So like, let's say Tuesday at 7 a.m. and Friday at 7 a.m. And I want you for 4 weeks in a row to never miss those. Like, you're starting really, really small, like as if you were working out in a gym. You shouldn't expect to go in and work out twice a day and also not eat any sweets. Like, you got to ease yourself into it. You got to go really slow, because you're building the consistency muscle. So I'd much rather you post once a week, but you don't miss it. So if you say Tuesday at 7 a.m., I better see a post from you Tuesday at 7 a.m. Do not miss it. And then you gradually work your way up. Like, I started posting once a day, and then I gradually over time built to where it's now multiple times a day on multiple platforms. But it's slow and steady, so you can be consistent.
So I call the podcast X Factor because I believe everybody's got that special something that is their X Factor. What do you think is your X Factor?
Honestly, I think it's my kindness. I think I just am naturally a very good-natured, kind, diplomatic person, and I think that comes across really well on social media. Um, and I think it makes people feel like they're in good hands with me, and I'm easy. I attract people naturally with my kind heart, honestly. And I don't know that I think that is an X factor. Like, you can't you can't force a kind heart on someone. You either have to be kind in your nature or not. And I think people love to open doors for me because of my kind nature, which has given me a lot of opportunities. I noticed that just, you know, I think a lot of women talk about how when they're in like the workforce, they encounter like discrimination. I've never encountered that, not one time. I've only met men who were gentlemen and who wanted to open doors for me and took good care of me and introduced me to the right people. And so I'm very privileged in that, because that is not most women's story at all. But for me, it has been. And I think part of it is just my nature makes people want to do nice things for me. And that is just, I had no control over that. That's just the nature I was born with. And I see it in my daughter too. Like, she's the same way, and I want to do everything for her. And I think that's my X factor. It's nothing I did. It's nothing I earned. It's nothing I worked to cultivate. It's just the nature I was born with has provided a lot of opportunities and saved me a lot of heartache, which I'm very grateful for. So I think that's my X factor, is my kind heart.
It nice, and it does come through. I mean, it comes through on social media. It comes through in person, and you definitely have an X factor.
Yeah,
for
thank you.
sure.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for sitting down with us. This has been amazing. You have shared some great takeaways for the audience, and I love following your content. And like, just thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. This was amazing.
You're welcome.